back to a new Hints and Theories video, this time about episode number 7. And first of all, I have to apologize that there was no video last week. Unfortunately, I got sick and really couldn't produce a video. My voice is still not 100% back to normal, so if it does sound a bit off or a bit weird, then just ignore it. But I really didn't want to miss out on the second Hints and Theories video because there's so much we have to talk about, especially about what happened in episode number 7. As I can already imagine some of your comments, and I can already imagine what some of you thought while watching this episode. Last but not least, I also want to have it about something else at the end of this video, because this week has already been the third week in which we could have known who was the person who has to leave the game because of kind of spoilers of, let's say, mistakes the production of some people in the production made. This is something you could have well recognized if you're a bit in the WIDM community and if you're trying to keep updated with happens besides the normal episodes. I just quickly want to give you an insight on what's happening there and what happened in the last weeks. And yeah, if you want to know more about that, then make sure to watch this video until the end. And as always, if you do not want to miss any upcoming videos, then please subscribe to this channel here and follow me on Instagram. I have to admit that this episode was not really Hints and Theories friendly, because the first task was super chaotic and the second one, well, was not a real task, but we will get to that in a minute. Let's have a look at task number 1 first. And this task consisted of 2 parts, so to say, and in the first part, of course, the most obvious mauling was done by Sophie, who stayed in the laser game way longer than she actually was supposed to. So the candidates altogether had 10 lives, and they decided that each candidate would get 2, so if you got shot 2 times, then you would have to leave the game so that another candidate can go in the field. And Sophie just simply ignores that. I do get that maybe in the hectic and all of that you can miss that you got shot, but they made it very obvious that she did not miss that. She actually realized that she was shot a second time and even a third time, and she still didn't really want to leave the game. In the end she did, more because of Rose wanted to get in the field. But yeah, that was simply weird, and the question is, why does Sophie do that? For the mole, it would probably be the best idea to stay as long as possible in that field, but to also make sure not to get that many items. But in the mole talk they showed us an overview, and they actually showed us that Sophie found 3 items, which is the highest amount of the whole group. And that, yeah, does not really fit to the idea that she is the mole and wants to stay as long as possible in the laser game field. But still, why does she do that? Did she simply enjoy it so much? That's of course a possible idea, that she had so much fun and just wanted to continue. Or yeah, just wanted to see how the others are acting in that laser task field. Still, it is a bit weird and makes her suspicious. Though I have to admit that of course it does not really make her suspicious to the other candidates, what would probably be helpful at this point in the game now. So yeah, all in all, it was a weird action. As I already said, we got an overview of who found how many items, and there it shows that Rose did not find one single item. But I have to say that we have to admit that she was not that long in the field due to Sophie's action, and of course she was still looking out for that special suitcase with the tablet inside. So I think those 2 facts combined probably are the reason why she did not come up with any of the items. In the end they missed several items, which then of course missed for the second part of the task. One more thing about the items: one of the suitcases had a sign on it that said Excemption. We know that because Michael read it out loud. And if we have a look at the letters of Excemption, then we can change the letters, the order of the letters, to S is Mol, which could be a hint to Sophie or Stein as Mol. In the second part of the task, of course, it's a brilliant idea to mole here by getting rid of those audio things in the passports. We even got to see one shot of one of these audio technique things hidden in a trainer, in a shoe. I really liked that idea to mole like that here. And of course the other way to mole here was to put wrong items in wrong suitcases. The big question, of course, is who did that? And I have to say, it's so chaotic that it really is simply not easy to see anyone super moling here, because we got to see shots of people running around all in other directions. Then we still had a Rose who was busy with finding the red suitcase with the tablet. So there were so many things happening here, and really a chaos task. And of course that for the mole is pretty good, because he or she can more or less mole without the others watching him or her too closely. But for us as viewers, it's really hard to find anything here. Still, there were a few little things in the mole talk. They figured out that Stein always was the last one being busy with one of the suitcases, so that of course could make him suspicious. It could also mean that he kind of controlled if the suitcases were packed correctly or not, but yeah, it really is a bit weird that it was always him who was the last one there. And then there was also Mike, who was busy with a flower hair clip, again a flower here. So it was not really clear if she just took the flower clip out of the puppet's hair to put it in the suitcase or to put it away in generally. So as you can see, a lot of things going on here, and I'm really curious if they will show us how the mole actually mold here in the last episode of the season. Rose in the end found the tablet, and we got to see the reactions of the candidates right after they got to know if they are the mole or not. I personally have to say that I do not think that this is very helpful, because yeah, you're in a really stressful situation, you're nervous, you're excited, so I don't really think that this helped a lot. But let me know in the comments below if you think that one of those scenes was actually helping you figuring out who the mole is. And now we get to task number 2, trust nobody. I really enjoyed that they named this task like that. I really like that. But of course I can already see your comments in my mind complaining about that. Again, the candidates had the chance to play a lot of money out of the pot, and it was a lot of money this time. And yeah, that does actually make it more complicated to figure out who the mole is, because I think we can really assume that the mole knew that this task would come up. Even if it is a mole that was chosen in the first episode of this season, I'm sure he or she knew it pretty quickly, and then of course it means you do not have to mole that obvious, or even if some of your moling fails, it's not that bad, because the candidates will play a lot of money out of the pot for sure in this trust nobody task. Which means that probably in the last 2 or 3 weeks there was not that much modeling at all, or let's say at least not that much obvious risky modeling, because the mole of course knows that there will be a lot of money out of the pot eventually in episode number 7, and as we know from older seasons, candidates will, well, pay a lot of money for a vrijstelling, and especially for final vrijstelling, so for final exemption. And yeah, it's just it just turns the game around a bit and makes finding the mole, figuring out who the mole is, more complicated. And I have to say that it also changes a bit how the game is played. Of course you can see that the candidates are not that much into getting the pot as high as possible, but getting into the final, which I do understand as well. And I also do understand that the production, especially this season, probably thought we need to have a backup option like that, because they are choosing who the mole is in the first episode of the season. There's not much time to brief them all, to train them all, so maybe if things do not work out perfectly, then there is still a chance to get a lot of money out of the pot, and even the mall has the option to well, get a lot of money out of the pot here. So I do get that you probably want to have that as a backup option as production, but I absolutely understand every fan who says he or she does not like that. Actually, this reminded me a lot of the season in the Czech Republic, where they also had a chance to bid a lot of money, and in the end the mall back then did not choose a high amount. And why not? Because the production team, of course, let them all knew how much the other candidates had chosen, how much money they would have spent. And this is a tactic I would probably choose again as production, just letting them all know, okay, this person said 2,000 euro and this person said 5,000 euro. You do not have to bid that much. Stay a bit under the radar, stay a bit in the background. So I think it does really make people who bid it a bit less more suspicious than people who, well, went totally out for it. So Rose with a 7,000 euro I think is less suspicious than, for example, Michael with only 1,000 euro. Yeah. No. What I thought was weird was that Rose in the end did not want to change the boxes with Stein again, because first I thought she wanted to do that, and then she acted like she did believe him, so that in the end he won the exemption. That seemed a bit odd to me. And what also was a bit weird was that when they were walking around, that Rick shows Maike 2 times. And actually, one more thing, I think she did not really act, well, really good here. You have to keep in mind that she's an actress, so actually I would expect her to be good at lying there and saying, no, I did not put that in front of you. And I think she did not really do a great job here. Both of the times, the first time Sophie did not, well, choose her, but the second time she was caught, and I think she could have done better there. But still, we don't know, of course, what the candidates think and in which tunnel they are and all of that. In the end, 2 candidates lie about how much money they would have spent for an exemption. Rose says that she would have spent 2,000 but actually would have spent 7,000 euro, and Sophie says 2,000 as well, if I remember it correctly, and actually would have spent 5,000 euro. I do get that they do not want the others to fill in the test question correctly. They probably do not want to draw any more attention from the others on themselves. So I do get that they lie about it, but of course it also makes them suspicious. So much about task number 2. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. And if I remember it correctly, then the code word was fish sticks. So if you want to let all your emotions about this task out, then make sure to use that code word as well. Now, as I already said in the beginning of the video, I want to have it about something that has happened for the third time now in this season, and that is that we got a bit spoiled about who was supposed to leave the game. I have not talked about the first 2 ones yet in the videos because I thought it were mistakes, and well, that's not great that it happened, but it can happen. But now something happened for the third time, and I think it slowly starts to get a bit weird, and of course you would not want something like that to happen in a show like WIDM, because of course the most exciting moment of the whole episode is in the end when you get to know who has to leave the game, and if you get spoiled then it makes the whole thing a little bit less exciting. But I of course also want to keep you updated on what's happening in this universe here, so let's quickly talk about it. The first mistake, let's call it like that, was made by the new director of WIDM, who posted the wrong trailer. So he actually wanted to advertise the upcoming episode, but unfortunately did not post the correct trailer, but the trailer for the episode 1 week later. And people who had a look at this trailer then of course recognized that one person was missing, and I think it was Gabriel back then, so people knew that Gabriel was the one who had to leave the game this time, and of course would not be part of the next episode. So this was already a spoiler. Then some people also recognized 1 or 2 weeks later that the director was not following all of the candidates on Instagram, and also recognized that he stopped following someone, and by that also caught the next person who had to leave the game. And this week it happened that the Need the Mole episode was online too early. So there's of course the Mole Talk, as you know, a kind of talk show right after WIDM, in which they discuss about all the things that happened in the episode. And then there's a third show called Need the Mole, Not the Mole, in which an old candidate, Splinter Chabot, visits the person who had just left the game at home and talks about how was it to be part of the whole adventure and what were your thoughts and all of that. And it's quite nice to look at it and to get to know that candidate a bit closer and his or her thoughts on all of that. And usually Need the Mole comes online after WIDM, but this time it was online, I would say around about 2 hours early. I made a screenshot on my phone, and as you can see the photo was taken around 7 o'clock. I'm not sure when it was actually uploaded, but still it was uploaded too early, and even without the thumbnail, because the thumbnail actually also prevents you from getting spoiled, but this time they missed out. So even if you, well, did not go to the Need the Mole site on purpose and just accidentally, well, went there to maybe watch the episode of last week, even then you got spoiled because you could see which candidate was sitting there, in this case Nora. So yeah, that of course is not so good, and I don't think that this is actually a hint or a theory to the mole this year. I really believe that it are little mistakes made, and that can happen, of course. I just hope that they yeah, recognize it and watch out for things like that in well, the upcoming weeks, upcoming seasons, so that we do not get that many spoilers in the future. And last but not least, for this video I've got good news. You've probably already heard it because it was announced last week. There will be an anniversary season this year, so we will get another WIDM season this year at the end of summer, I think. So this is great. We will really have the chance to search for another mole this year. I'm really looking forward to, well, seeing all faces back. There's not much we know about it yet, so I'm really curious on what they will do and if it will be like the last anniversary season or completely different. So I'm really excited about that, and I hope you will be able to watch it then too, and that we will be able to search for another mole together. They were all things we needed to discuss for this week. Let me know in the comments below if you have seen anything else that was suspicious and that I have not mentioned yet. Also tell me what you thought about task number 2, trust nobody, and all that money that has gone out of the pot. By the way, I really hope they get a task next week in which they can earn a lot of money, because this pot at 3,755 euro is incredibly low now. So I really hope they get a chance to play a lot of money back into that pot. Yeah, so let me know what you thought about all of that in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to this channel here, follow me on Instagram, and I really hope to see you all back next week when we will already talk about episode number 8 and be super close to the final. Until next week, bye!